We're back with another Transits Friday. So let's have a look at this coming new moon. So that's what we're really giving the priority and a major focus for this week. So it's happening with the turn of the month. So it's happening right at the 1st of December. Most places, I mean, depending where you are in the world, there could be variations there. But here we have the transits for today, but like I said, let's have a look at this new moon. It's going to be in Sagittarius. So the beginning of December, Sagittarius, what kind of flavor, what kind of intentions can we be setting? And honestly, the overall energy that we're going to be facing, experiencing, etc. during this week as well. So this is the chart for today. Obviously, we still have Mercury going retrograde. So Mercury at 21 degrees Sag. So there's definitely a much more introverted energy reflected by the planets here than a traditional Sag season would be representing. Also, with that said, I think partly the planets and the energies are telling us to think twice before we make decisions, before we rush into things, before we commit to things, before we say set ultimatums or deadlines and things like that. So really important to remember that and to try and refrain from doing this during this Mercury retrograde. So Mercury will be retrograde until mid-December. So we still have 2 weeks where we can reflect, rethink, review, edit, etc. Do all of the work that Mercury retrograde represents. And honestly, just take a big, deep breath in. Just stop breathing out, stop putting things out, expressing yourself, vocalizing, blah, 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 go getter. Is a time to take a step back as well with Mercury retrograde. Unless you're putting something out that you were supposed to be doing before and you didn't do it for some reason, so you're doing it now. So there's definitely that sort of energy in the air with Mercury retrograde. And obviously, I think this gets even more emphasized with the fact that we're getting to the new moon in Sag as well. So we're like in the dark of the moon right now, which is a time for rest, etc., going inwards, reflecting on the lunar cycle as well, and reflecting on what we want to bring into our lives as well a little bit more. So what do you want to manifest for this new moon, this new lunar cycle as well? So it's like weeding out the things that haven't worked, that we don't want to bring forward, etc. So this is Sunday. So Saturday, I mean tomorrow. So moon is in Scorpio yesterday or today and tomorrow. So there is an emotional intensity in the air potentially as well, just pre new moon. Here we have Sunday. So the 1st of December on Sunday. Like I said, I love when we see those synchronicities of a new lunar cycle correlated with the beginning of a month as well. So it's like a double new beginning sort of happening there in the sky or reflected by the sky. So this new moon will be happening at 9 degrees Sagittarius. Very important for you to find where 9 degrees Sagittarius is in your chart, because that's going to give you more personal information. That's going to give you more clues on how to find meaning during this lunar cycle, and what areas as well of your life do you want to focus upon and really think about and really work on bringing something new. I think there's a little bit of that there as well. So Sagittarius as well, another clue here with this new moon and the fact that Mercury is retrograde as well is definitely a connection to regaining our sense of purpose, realigning with our sense of meaning, the deeper meanings of life, our enthusiasm as well, and our passion for what we're doing, for who we are, and how we're being in the world as well. This is definitely a time where we can ask the big questions and inquire about the philosophical, you know, philosophical understanding of the world. What is your world view? I think that's a very important one when we think about Sagittarius and Jupiter as well, because Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, so brings us to Jupiter in Gemini there. So really, what is your world view? What is your perspective? How is your life an extension of your perception and your belief system? As well. That's another point that could be interesting to reflect, to explore during this new moon as well, during this cycle. Jupiter will also be very involved in the picture here by forming an opposition to Mercury and an opposition in mutual reception. So still an opposition where there is an understanding and a kind of an alignment between the two planets. And I feel that this is a signature that's being stamped for the whole lunar cycle. And it could have a lot to do with getting answers, asking questions and getting answers, with being able to analyze the situations and to understand and to gather more information as well. Really gather more information during this cycle. And obviously, because it's a lunar cycle that's happening, so it's the last new moon of a last lunar cycle of 2024, because the next new moon we have is in the on the 31st of December, still in 24, but it's for a cycle that's already in January, right? It begins on the 31st, but it develops during January. So this is literally the last cycle, the last lunar cycle of 24. So Mercury is retrograde, opposition to this Jupiter in Gemini. It's a wonderful opportunity to review, to revisit, to think about this year. Have you done all the things that you wanted to do? Have you accomplished the goals that you wanted to have? Or even more important, with this Sagittarian flavor, do these goals and ambitions still have meaning to you? After a whole year, are they still meaningful? Are they still important to you? Because if they're not, then it's time to rethink and decide where you want to put your energy, right? That's another opportunity that we're going to have in the second week of December, because Mars will also go retrograde. So Mars will go retrograde in Leo, and we're going to really be rethinking where we put our energy into. How do we use our libido? How do we express ourselves in the world? But that's part of this lunar cycle as well. So really setting intentions and planting seeds of exploration to really understand what you want to be doing next year and what you want to really be manifesting. You know, the more conscious we are, then the more we can actually bring things to fruition. You know, we don't just keep going and going in a kind of a sleepwalking state. We really use our awareness to work on the things that we feel are valuable and valid and important and meaningful to us. That brings us passion, a sense of enthusiasm and connection, right, with the universe. So I think those are really there for this lunar cycle for sure. Mercury is also doing a trine to Chiron. So this could be, you know, healing energy here on this process of reviewing and asserting ourselves vocally, being able to communicate who we are and what's important to us as well as individuals. And we also have a Venus trine Uranus. That's another trine here that's in this chart. And I think this could be a liberating kind of energy in terms of our values and being aligned with our values as well throughout the process, being very grounded where it comes to values and, you know, purpose and values kind of being together here. And obviously, the other sort of elephant in the room here for this new moon chart is a square to Saturn. And I think the square to Saturn is telling us that we need to slow down during the cycle. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to see everyone. You know, just pace yourself. Because Mercury's retro, this is the last month of the year. Just make sure that you have energy and that you are headed towards the right direction. And so having a little bit of time for yourself, slowing things down, seeing obstacles as opportunities to take a step back, to rethink and revision and study again your strategies, right? But there is a sense of slowing down. The square to Saturn could also be connected with the sense of balance between ideals, beliefs, and making them concrete. How are you going to make them concrete? How are you going to bring them to fruition? Are they doable? That's the question that Saturn always wants to ask. So this is also there for these last month of 2024, for this last lunar cycle, and obviously for this astrology for this week as well. Obviously, as usual, coming from a constructive perspective, right? What can we do with these energies that will benefit us, that would help us to bring the life that we want to live to fruition, to manifest our goals and dreams, right? That's really the purpose, to be the person that we are meant to be, right? To be our unique selves and heal the senses of inadequacies and, not feeling enough. So that's the new moon. I'm just going to go around until Friday just to have a look at the chart a little bit more. We've got Mercury, still obviously still going retrograde for this whole week. Mercury will perfect the opposition to Jupiter here on Wednesday. So maybe having the insights right there on Wednesday, or having new messages, new thoughts, something going on there that we could come across. There is the exact square from Saturn and the Sun as well around that time. It's a bit of a split between expansion and contraction. I think that's a Saturn-Jupiter square in general anyways, and the sort of Sagittarius square to Saturn as well. It's like, where can we grow and where do we need to contract right now? That will be the wisdom to know that difference and to realize and to see life situations as, revealing. When we find too many obstacles in a certain direction, then maybe it's a time to retreat a little bit. And even maybe sometimes retreating is actually how we expand. As funny as this might sound, but downtime, resting, being quiet is also a way of growing. It's not just colonizing and growing, right? There is growth in quietness as well. Friday here we have Mercury at the heart of the sun. So again, the insights could be really strong, really important during this week, really present during this week, really, I think. So something to keep an eye, something to look and see what comes up to us. So that's it. I'll be back next Friday with more astrological information, mainly and only from the constructive perspective, which is all about building the life that we want to live and using astrology as a navigator so we can align ourselves, so we can realize and reflect on how to best use these energies. Let me know how you're doing, what's going on for you, how was this week, etc. And I look forward to hearing from you. I will be seeing you all on Friday. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend, a beautiful new moon, and I'll see you soon. So take care. Mwah. Lots of love. Bye-bye.